What kind of life does the Liver King, the guy who once pulled in $9 million a month, lead now? It went as far as shooting a YouTube apology video in the basement with the classic ready-made text.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I f***ed up. Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied.
He said that his huge body was just a product of his primitive lifestyle.
Just tell you this, this hair has never seen shampoo. This body doesn't see soap ever.
Even though he called himself a natural, the backstory was not at all like that. Leaked emails, blood tests, and a body that screamed steroids with every flex.
Leaked emails, blood test results, and a full steroid cycle breakdown. That's what we're going to be getting into in this video, and it is shocking to say the least. Before we do though, it only feels fitting to go back to the beginning because this very much feels like a story that has come full circle for us on this channel and do it the justice it deserves by fleshing it out from inception.
Behind all those liver videos, he was as lab-built as the vials and syringes he denied using. The Liver King managed to turn all his fame into hate. He is trying to make a comeback after 2.5 years, starting with a Netflix documentary. His comeback has been met not with applause, but with backlash. Nobody was buying his words anymore. Once trust is broken, it's nearly impossible to restore. Because once the eye sees that it is false, it will never believe the same tale again. Hey buddy, I'm Snorf, the guy who looks at the most dramatic headlines and says, let's take this with a grain of salt. But we don't go to the glossy storefronts, we go to the back alleys of fame. If you've ever looked at the screen and thought, how can this be? You're in the right place. I'd like to see people in the comments who say they've left their salt, because truth doesn't just sit there, it needs a little flavor to be swallowed. Now let's rewind and go back to the story of the man behind the raw liver, shrouded in half-baked lies, because everyone has something to hide. Who knows? Maybe you've got a little liver of your own to hide. Brian Johnson, aka the Liver King, was just an entrepreneur before he created this identity. He and his wife ran a health and fitness supplement brand. Their main ingredients were ancestral supplements, which were bovine liver and other organs. In the summer of 2021, they made their first foray into social media. They quickly gained traction on social media and became a household name in a short time. So how did this guy, out of nowhere, spark so much engagement so fast? But what really attracted attention were his liver videos that played on the screen. They didn't sit well in the stomach, but they played great on screen. And he quickly went viral with videos of him adopting a primitive life and consuming organs such as raw liver, heart, testicles as food. But these videos were not only disgusting, they were also the biggest factor in his engagement. What he presented as a primitive lifestyle was largely a 9-point list. Sleep better, exercise more, eat right, and make connections. Sounds reasonable, right? But the thing is, Liver King tied these simple suggestions to his extraordinary physique and came up with a miracle formula. And what exactly is this prescription? I'm gonna show you one by one.
If you want to live a better fucking life, what you need to do is learn about the root cause, these 9 ancestral tenets, that will optimize your hormones and optimize your neurochemistry. You're going to be so happy and so fulfilled and have so much energy, so much positivity, so much love and light.
But most people preferred to follow him rather than live like him, because most people couldn't eat raw testicles. That's where his ancestral supplements marketing strategy came in. Brian turned that dose of disgust into pills, powders, and capsules, and put it back in front of his followers.
If you want to be a top king, if you want unlimited access to cars, money, and if you want to find your queen, then you have to fuel your efforts with ancestral supplements, liver, beef organs, and bone marrow.
But every marketing is built on a claim, and his was, I am natural. But the truth beneath his muscles was suspicious to many from the start. Names like Joe Rogan have repeatedly stated that this primordial god is actually a synthetic plush toy.
Have you seen that bloke that eats the raw?
Yeah, that's a gimmick, that guy.
It just looks ridiculous. He's got a plate of hearts and it just looks weird.
He's got an ass filled with steroids is what he's got.
Yeah, he should have a big plate of steroids next to it.
That is not a natural body.
Brian repeatedly denied these claims, and when someone asked him about it, he continued to claim that it was completely natural.
I don't.
Can they get a build like yours without taking them?
So I want to set the record straight. I want to expand and tell you why it's possible.
A year ago, maybe 2 years ago, it was all about like PEDs and steroids, right? And then, you know, same question, same answer. I didn't touch the stuff, don't touch the stuff, right?
Joe Rogan criticized you. Joe Rogan's a big person in terms of his platform is big. How did that feel?
when he said he alluded that you're on steroids or something like that?
Yeah, number one, I don't do it. And number two, what I want you to say is, you know what, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that guy, in fact, he did say he's in the 0.00001% of genetics if he does it naturally.
What is the Liver King's response to this claim that the Liver King is hormonally improved by science?
The question has always been, do you take steroids? Do you take PEDs? The answer to that is no.
Natural. Although many in the bodybuilding community don't believe his claims, apart from eating raw meat and having a beard, this man had no other ancestral traits, except steroids. As these allegations grew, so did the sleepless nights for Liver King. After the sleepless night, new evidence emerged that would drive Brian Johnson out of his mind. The YouTube channel, More Plates, More Dates, shook and shook his steroid history, one by one, dose by dose.
You know, he looks, I don't know, deceivingly unnatty, to be honest, or deceivingly, what would be the proper description of this guy? He does not look natty really at all. You know, maybe you could argue if this guy was like a very short individual and very compact, maybe you could argue for it, but in, you know, reality, the likelihood is extremely low that this guy is natural, to be honest. And he has some potentially impressive performance metrics. Like, it's kind of hard to say, like, some of his lifts in the gym.
Despite all these revelations, Brian was still putting himself out there and marketing his supplements. This didn't sit well with Derek, and he decided to dig deeper. In his first video about Brian, he found an email he had sent asking for advice, and the email made all the facts clear.
I've been working out for 35 years. I know how to train, eat, rest, and recover. I even have a hard shell hyperbaric chamber at my house. But as I've reached my mid-40s, it's getting harder and the back fat kills me. To support these exhaustive efforts, I've recently started taking Omnitrope. So if you guys don't know Omnitrope, this is pharmacy-grade human growth hormone. The brand, it is created by the pharmaceutical company Sandoz, I believe it is.
Not only did Liver King admit to using multiple steroids and performance-enhancing drugs, as in the video, but he also admitted to overdosing himself, saying, in his words, that he spent $11,000 a month on these bodybuilding drinks. This was the fall of an empire, because that email was not written for his fans. It was written only for himself. Funny thing, our most honest words are often the ones never meant to be seen. His confession on these events was not delayed. Liver King stuck to the classic YouTuber apology template, stating,
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied and I misled a lot of people.
But the impact of these words could not leave the room in the basement, because a few sentences later, he was reminded of his fortune. His tears didn't fall from guilt, they leaked from a bruised ego, thick as protein shake. The rest of the apology video turned into a monologue in which he tried to justify himself.
I've stated that this is a complicated as topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
To some point, Liver King's apology turned from an examination of conscience into a distracting defense. Yes, I used steroids, he finally said. But instead of expressing an expected truth, it was a stage opening for the theater that was to follow. It was an experiment. 4,000 people commit suicide every day. 80,000 people try. I sacrificed myself to shed light on this issue. Really? His tears were not out of shame, but out of the role. After all, nothing flatters a fraud more than playing the hero.
Yes, I've done steroids, and yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves. The 80,000 people a day that try to kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
This was beyond deception. When these lies came to light, a great darkness fell over the Liver King brand. People didn't stop there. A $25 million class action lawsuit was filed by customers who felt deceived by his lies. Even if this case is not settled out of court, the damage to his reputation from these events remains. At some point, even Liver King realized that people no longer believed him. But that realization didn't stop him. On the contrary, it pushed him further, because social media feeds on hate as much as love. And Brian had now chosen abomination to be watched.
Testicle sandwiches, liver ice cream, body parts dipped in milk, the more grotesque, the better. Because it was better to be disgraced than unseen. In the spring of 2025, Liver King decided to take the stage once more. This time, not through YouTube videos, but directly through Netflix. The documentary Untold: The Liver King promised to tell his life in depth, tears in front of the camera, candid moments behind the camera, but viewers were angry that the lies were now being served with a corporate logo. By the time the trailer was released, the comments had already changed the title of the documentary to Exposed: The Lying King. The anger at Netflix was even greater for giving Liver King a platform. People didn't want one thing: more lies in corporate packaging. The documentary felt less like a confession and more like a polished blood test report. But it was just marketing hormones coursing through it. But remember this: Liver King didn't fall alone in this story. He's dragging someone else down with him. And even in his fall, he's trying to make himself look like a hero. And the funny thing? This is just the beginning. Because it doesn't end here. It continues next week. If you've come this far, you're already part of the story. Leave your comment, leave your like, subscribe. You know, we are one person less without you. So I ask you, was it all part of a master plan? Or did he just let the sweet taste of fame drag him down without even blinking? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because everyone's voice is heard here, not just Liver King's.